So Manny was sort of when the wrestling journey had come to an end. I'd already made my decision, actually, heading into the Olympics, that I wanted to get into MMA. And where that came from was I just seen a lot of people, again, hey, I could be that pro athlete, make some money, but also greater platform. I know I can do it. A lot of people I trained with, competed against, were now champions in this sport and doing very well. And I'm like, hey, listen, I've been with these guys and I got my hands on them. If they can do it, I know I can. And there's a whole, no other Indian in there. There's that whole angle of legacy and history. And so I made that decision heading into the Olympics that I was going to do this. I just didn't know how. And so putting that plan together, I took the same approach I did to wrestling. I needed the right people around me, high level people that have been, there's a million coaches. Where I want to go to, which is the top of the heap, I can only listen and respect and follow someone who's been there, not someone who just talks about it and this and that. That's the only way someone can get my respect. Either they've been there or they took someone there. There's only two ways. And so I looked into the sport of boxing because as a wrestler, I knew jiu-jitsu, it's a cousin of grappling. That would come fairly easy to me. It would be the striking more than anything. How do I like getting hit on a daily basis and that type of thing? And I felt I could hit someone, and which I felt I was all right on. And so I threw myself in boxing where my wrestling does not count. And how are we going to do this? And Manny's the best in the business. And more than anything also, and I'll speak to this too, Manny, since they're putting me on the spot. Yeah. There's a lot of people that are accomplished, but Manny was a good dude. I asked around, and I only hook in with good people. You need your personal life in order and good habits and all of that, because that's how I was raised to be able to have a long run with someone. And Manny checked all those boxes for me. That's why I walked into his gym.
I'm very humbled, Arjan, of you saying that. And and it's interesting you say you wanted to learn how to get hit, right? But one of the main things that we teach is not to get hit, right? So you're those angles that we talk about is, even if you do get hit, you don't want to get hit with the entire force, right? Coming in on a guy. So that's one of the very important things that we worked on with Arjan, and is angling. And it's so similar to wrestling as well. You want to attack at angles, and you're just translating what you already know. And I was kind of curious when you were talking about a lot of these guys that you were wrestling with and competing with and things, and maybe you can throw out some names for us.
Yeah. So coming down the line. So then I did that, and I grew up a huge boxing fan, by the way. Huge fan. If there's any other sport that I love as much as wrestling growing up, boxing was right there. Anyhow, so putting that aside, then so I got into there and figured out, I'm like, okay, I can do this. Now I need to figure out how to put the two together, which is what MMA is. So I reached out to some friends within Canada that worked out in Montreal at GSP's gym. They're on the national team. His wrestling coach is a guy named Gia Sasuri. He's one of the most technical. He was voted the world's most technical wrestler one year out of everybody in the world. He is born in Georgia, Tbilisi, Georgia, and immigrated over and wrestled for Canada on multiple Olympics and world champion and all that. So he was Georgia's wrestling coach and still is. And he brought in other national team guys that I personally knew that I was on the team with because he's a little older. So I had connections into there. So the best gym in Canada for MMA is where George was at. And I'm like, okay, I'm going over there. I looked up, asked my Indians, we got family everywhere. So I'm like, Dad, we got any family out that way? And he's like, yeah, we got someone. And they come from our grandma's village. And when they immigrated to Canada, we took them in. So we'll give them a call because, you know what I mean? It's time to return the favor. And we always kept, contact. And as an athlete, everyone would love to take you in and be a part of your journey anyhow. So we called up the family. They go, come on down. I stayed with them a week or two. And I went into George's gym and kind of figured things out. Dennis Kang, local guy, was there at that time. National team guys were there, like I said. And it was a great environment, but no heavyweights. That was the biggest drawback for me. The bodies weren't there. The heaviest they had was middleweight at that time. And so, heavyweights are tough to find anyhow, but you need somebody, right? But what I liked was the cerebral approach of the coach. Very, very smart coach. The way he breaks things down, the way he approaches things, strategize. And I'd love to kind of pick your guys' brain when it comes, when we talk further. In wrestling, there's always two schools. There were the grinders that just worked the workhorses, and there were the technical tacticians, the, super slick. And so the TriStar is known as that super slick technical type of approach. After that, I went down to a gym called AKA, American Kickboxing Academy. And that was a school where you grind, where it's a meat grinder, and the cream rises to the top if you're able to get through it, and then da-da-da-da. And that's the wrestling school I came through, was that approach. So it spoke to me a little more, and I liked that. And so I went down there. I hit up a guy named King Mo Lawal. He's on the U.S. national team. Daniel Cormier's out of there. He was on the national team, same time. Sean Bunch, he's another guy. Cain Velasquez was champion then. All those, TC, Cain, they're heavyweights. They're all-time greats, So I knew, okay, TriStar does this. Let me go down there. I got connects with these guys. It's a 2-hour flight down south to California rather than freezing my ass off 5 hours away in Montreal. And heavyweight game's always different. And I'm like, if these guys have done, coming from my school of wrestling, and they've become all-time greats, I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I can just copycat and personalize to myself and make tweaks, and away we go. So then I asked my old man again, hey, we got family down in San Jose. I got to get down there. And so we got family
that's
15
crazy,
minutes from
man.
the gym, as luck would have it. And they're actually very, very involved with sports in the community down there. My uncle down there used to wrestle. He played kabaddi. I don't know if you guys know what that sport is, a martial art for us. His sons both wrestled in high school, one of them in college. So he totally got what I'm there for, and he's totally excited and everything. And he's like, come on down. His boys have, one's a teacher, one's a cop. He missed that whole kind of sport angle. So now he hasn't missed a fight since. He comes to every one of my fights, everywhere in the world. But, then they're good people, family people. They know sports, they know whatever. So I went down there, got into the gym. So check this out. So the only way you get into the gym is if you're part of the team. You can't drop in. That's just the way it works. So I didn't know this. So I get down there and coach goes, hey, do you know what you're doing in the sport? I'm still trying to figure it out. That's why I'm here. So okay, throw these gloves on, throw these shin pads on, and we're going to put you in the cage at DC. And that was my tryout. I had no idea. And so I get in there. Audition to throw me in the cage. I had to do one round with him to see if I have potential, if I have any type of, one thing for the guys to vouch for me, one thing for the coach to see it. So I did one round with him. I must have done well because I came out and he said, okay, you're on the team, and anything you need, you let us know, and and we're off and running.
So are these guys your brothers now, the AKA team? Because I know it's a big family down there.
It is. With that kind of approach, the first, wrestling community is very tight-knit, very small, but very tight-knit. So everyone knows everyone. And if you stay in there long enough, there's a mutual respect, and which is what we had. We travel around the world. It's only the Americans and Canadians speaking English. So at the training camps, at the tournaments, all these fucking Eastern Europeans are trying to screw you somehow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're hanging out together, you're speaking the same language. It's so kind of like us versus them. You know what I mean? You're going across the pond to take these other guys out. That's usually how it works. So we had that camaraderie and that type of thing. Not saying there aren't other, good guys in other teams, but we had to use Google Translate to talk sometimes, So we had that, and yeah, tight connection. I want to continue that legacy, and I believe I have still writing that story of great heavyweights coming out of the team. Yeah. DC's just recently retired, so I'm next up, and they have younger guys coming up after that, and so that's where it's at.